It seems to be quite a good moment for me to post my first video as the renegade Jew. This morning, hearing about the victory of Zohran Mamdani in New York City. According to some earlier research by Peter Beinart, it appears that about 40% of Jewish voters in New York City supported him, which shows to what extent things are changing and that the bogus anti-Semitism charges are largely not working anymore. It's a card that simply can't be played in the way it has been played, particularly over the last 10 years. I think the research also shows that about 67% of Jewish voters in New York City between the ages of 18 and 44 also were likely supporters of the Mamdani campaign. This is a bit of light in the present period of darkness, which is it's encouraging for sure. Whether this light will be snuffed out by establishment forces, that's yet to be seen. But at least it appears to be some sort of message of hope. Maybe it's a message of hope that can be sort of built on by maybe the Green Party in this country, because that also has quite a lot of support, particularly amongst younger people. It appears that we're really sort of held back by the older generation. I mean, my age group. I'm 65, so seem to be a lot of old gits sort of holding the whole thing back, holding the possibility of change back. Maybe they just want to hang in this country anyway. They want to hang on to their house values and the value of their buy-to-let, and maybe they're just obsessed with going on endless sort of 15-story cruise ship holidays and don't want that lifestyle to be disrupted by anything, and wanting to pass on their great house values to their family is the only way of passing on wealth. So maybe it's that sort of age group with those sorts of outlook that will sort of hinder any change in the UK scenario. I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting how it starts to play out. Interestingly, I was just reading, doing some research recently around Jewish socialists around the time of the First World War in New York City itself, and there was in fact a Socialist Party of America Jewish candidate, an immigrant from Eastern Europe, called Morris Hillquit. Hillquit was a sort of not an anglicized version, but a sort of a version of his surname, which was Hilkovitz originally, I think. And I think he stood for mayoral candidate in maybe 1917, if I can remember correctly. And he got about 100,000 votes then. So it shows there is certainly a precedent for socialist candidates in this area, and candidates from immigrant backgrounds. But I think the chief takeaway from this is that the anti-Semitism card did not work. It just did not work in the case of Mamdani, and the terrible, egregious bullshit that Cuomo was coming out with jihadi this, and he's a communist, and all this complete sort of hyperbolics that was flying around, just hasn't worked as well. And we've now got this possibility of a belief in the improvability of things rather than this continuous drone and stagnation of neoliberalism, which really has now about pretty much a 40-year history, both in the United States and in this country, where the belief of that system is that your monetary worth, no matter how that monetary worth has been built up, is somehow equivalent to your value as a human being. I mean, it's this 40 years of neoliberalism has been a sort of dreadful ball and chain on the whole culture. It's almost certainly cost lots of lives and created huge amounts of stress and sort of mental health implications as well for so many people. So that's quite a good thing this morning anyway, that Mamdani has been elected. And again, as I said before, whether he will be able to survive. We've already had Trump threatening withdrawing federal support. So there'll be a massive battle to destroy or in some way disable his intentions for transforming lives for so many people in New York City. But it does send a message across the Atlantic to the UK that there could be some renewed hope. Am I personally optimistic? I wouldn't say I'm terribly optimistic, because this country is bogged down in so many distractions. The woke, anti-woke battles, the people flying St. George's crosses, and all these things, which are actually massive distractions, which of course the establishment wants people to be distracted by, because they don't want people to focus on the real causes of the stress, the anxiety, the unchanneled anger that's there, which has been caused by a rapacious financial system that puts the lives of so many people under stress. So they want you to think of wave St. George's crosses and blame immigrants who have absolutely nothing to do with the stresses created by neoliberalism now, which go back over 40 years and has blighted so many lives. I mean, I certainly see it as a blight on my own life as well, which has been sort of living in a sort of strange, sort of zombie fragmented culture for so long. Anyway, let's see how this plays out over the next few years. There's still some years to go before there's another election in this country. The polls are not looking good in terms of the possibility of a reform victory, which of course will be, I mean, it's a sort of bizarre euphemism. It won't be reform. Reform UK simply means let's keep the rapacious financialized system going, or perhaps even increase its control over us so that we can siphon wealth from you. That's what Reform Party stands for. But anyway, this morning's news was good, so there we go.